Today we're going to be talking about what our day-to-days look like.
I feel like out of the 3 of us, maybe my days tend to look the most consistent because
What are you
I'm
trying to
not
say,
building a
Cass?
well, I'm trying to say, Kelsey, that I don't have any life responsibilities because I'm not trying to build a house. I don't have dogs that have to be walked during the day, and I don't have kids. So,
So
you
you think you're
know.
more responsible than us, is that it?
Like millennial slash pet, like Gen Z baby, and she's the adult in the room, is what we're learning.
But it's true. She is a lot more responsible than us and diligent and structured.
Thank you. Oh, but this does remind me, random side tangent that will tie back in. So bear with me. But one thing Sarah always talks about in the course is how, like, if you work a traditional job and you also have a partner who works a traditional job, and then you go and start freelancing, a lot of times you will still mimic your freelancing business after either the traditional job that you have or whatever your partner's schedule looks like. And you'll think, oh, if my partner is working 8 to 5, then I also have to work 8 to 5. And it's kind of hard to twist that system and that conditioning on its head to be like, no, wait, if I want to work 9 to 3, I could do that. Like, I don't need to mirror this thing that I've been doing. And so for me, whenever I first started freelancing, I had not started to question that conditioning yet. So my husband works 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. So that was my copywriting business. I had to get to the point where I was reminding myself, like, oh, I can work from a coffee shop. Like, I don't have to be at my desk like I did in my old 9 to 5, or like I can work from the couch if I need a change of scenery, or I can go, right. I can work from the bed. It's just funny, like what you don't give yourself permission to do or what you don't think that you can do whenever you're so used to this very systematic, this is what I do every single day. So, yeah, that was kind of a big tangent. But back to the original question. So, an average day for me, I normally wake up, like, around 5:30, and then I start work at 7, so
For everyone watching, this is Cassidy's personal choice. As a freelancer, I can tell you, you do not have to wake up at 5:30. Cassidy, what?
And based on Katie's nice shock, you can tell you're about to get a very different story from the two of us.
What?
Okay, another random side story. All throughout my life, I grew up in a family where, like, my mom, she would always go to bed around 8:30 because she had to be up for her job at 4, and then a lot of times it was just the 2 of us. I'd be like, "Well, if you're gonna go to bed, I'll go to bed too." So I think just growing up as a kid, I was used to going to bed early and then getting up early, and then I've just kind of carried that into adulthood. So I'm like, getting up at 5:30 is fine. So yeah, get up at 5:30, get ready, eat breakfast, feed my cats, sit down at my desk at 7, and then I usually try to get off work, like, around 3 or 4, but what I do during that chunk of time varies, and I think that will be a consistent thread. I know we all get up at different times, but I do think that consistent thread will be, there is no average day. Every day looks different. So, I do try to write, like, for about 3 or 4 hours a day. So, what I do is mostly blog posts. An average week for me would probably be, like, 5 articles due a week, but I have been so busy that I've had like 12 or 14 articles due a week, and those are like very rare situations. But if that does happen, I'm trying to write like at least 6 hours a day, if not more. And then with the other hours, I'm like either posting on my Instagram for Money Hungry Freelancers, doing admin stuff, whether that's sending invoices, having discovery calls, getting onboarded with new clients, just answering emails. I usually take a 30-minute to an hour lunch break every day. I'm still trying to remind myself that, like, oh, I can go take a walk during the middle of the day if I want to. And sometimes if I'm feeling really burnt out or stressed, like that will actually help kind of fill my cup back up so I can come back and like be focused and work more. So yeah, that's the gist of what an average day looks like for me.
I'm still just trying to get over the 5:30 a.m. thing that I just learned about you, Cass. I knew you were an early bird, but 5:30. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. I do not get up at 5:30. Kels and I are night owls. I,
Amazing that you vacation with us.
yeah. Oh my
Keeping
God.
you up till 1 in the morning and like crawling into our bed at like 7. Like, that's so late for you.
Yeah.
I've noticed that anytime that I'm spending time with friends and stuff, I think I'm just like so energized and I just love being with these people so much that I'm like, no, you are running on as little sleep as possible. You spent your whole life sleeping. This is go time. 3 hours a night. It's fine. You'll recoup it later. Have fun. Never
Oh my
sleep.
gosh. Amazing. Amazing. I'm obsessed with that. Yeah, I peel myself out of bed reluctantly at 8:30 in the morning. Like I'm still half dead so that I can like hug my kids and get them on the bus and they see my face in the morning before they go to school. Like if I didn't have children waking me up, I probably would wake up at 10 or 11. But all that is to say, my actual work day, because I have kiddos, I wanted to be able to just focus on getting them ready, getting them out the door when they were littler and I was starting my business. I had to like drive them to preschool and things like that. So I didn't even start a work day until 10 maybe, because I liked that I didn't have to also like get ready to go into the office or like get myself ready. It was like get the kids ready, get them out the door, and then I come back and I have like a more relaxed morning routine for me where I don't have to hustle to get ready by a certain time, which I really love. And then I have really found that it's tricky for me, even with like a designated workspace. It's tricky for me to like start my day working from home. I think I need a little bit of like, especially now that I don't drive my kids anywhere, they take the bus because they're older. I need to like get out of the house and kind of officially start my day. So I work Monday through Thursdays from a coffee house in the morning. I have a local one I go to most of the time. And then sometimes I want a little more of a commute. I live outside of Minneapolis area. So sometimes I'll drive like downtown to one of the cooler ones just to feel like I'm like in a cooler part of the city, which is fun. But yeah, I usually work 2 to 3 hours. And that's like my creative writing time in the morning at a coffee shop. And then I'll leave and come home and I do take walks in the middle of the day. And then the afternoon, I don't have as much creative energy. I find it's harder for me to get in that like writing flow. So the afternoon is usually when I will do that admin work that you were talking about, Cass, like emails or catching up on things, social media posts, writing and ideating for my own business. I will like do like rough drafts and things like that of things. And then I find that I tend to get like another burst of creative energy around 4, which is not super convenient for like the kid life schedule. So some days I'll just do a quick 15-minute burst of work while they're doing their after school stuff. Other times if I really am like, oh my gosh, I'm going to bang out this whole article in 35 minutes or something like that, I'll just like go hide in the office and tag team my partner to be like the responsible parent at that moment for like kid things. But I do want to say too, like I'm able to have a little bit more of a regular schedule now because my kids are older, but when they were little and when I was just starting, and then especially during the early months of the pandemic, when kids were home and, you know, as partners, we're trying to juggle both work and childcare and things. The only time that really I could immerse myself in that like creative writing and really focus on my business was on the weekends. And I know people get very like, don't work on the weekends. It has to be a boundary you have, blah, blah, blah. And I think if like Cass, you know, you're keeping a pretty traditional Monday through Friday schedule and then also allowing work to bleed over onto the weekends, I do agree that's a good clear boundary to have because that'll burn you out. But for me, it was like I was maybe getting in 2 hours of work a day. And it was really hard to like sit down and be interrupted or sit down and then have to, you know what I mean? Like, so for me, like working on the weekends became the way I was able to build my business kind of in those early months too. My partner would just like take the kids for like out to a park and out to lunch and things like that. And I would just get to like hole up in the house for 4 solid hours on a Saturday or a Sunday. And I really, really, really appreciated that about, because I think if I was trying to like shoehorn what I needed to get done into Monday through Friday at normal office hours while my kids were home and my partner was working from home, I think I would have given up, honestly. So I think I love that freelancing allowed me to like take those chunks of time that were available and to make them my own office hours.
Follow-up question for you, Katie.
Yeah.
Whenever you start your day in a coffee shop, it sounds like it's mostly the same coffee shop. Like, do you have a relationship with your barista? Or are they like, oh, it's Katie, I know what she wants? Like, what is that experience like?
That's 100% it. Yeah. I'm like the most basic coffee orderer of all time. Vanilla latte. They'll ask medium or large today, Katie, when I come in, depending on how tired I am. Most days now it's a large because it's summer hours and my kids are home all the time. But yeah, exactly. I have to double fist my
It's a
coffee.
2 coffee kind of day.
Yeah. Yeah. Medium or large. I do. Colette, I know the owner, love her. We actually were chatting websites. I might help her out with her website. Her mama works there, Mama Janet.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
I know them all by name and they're Darling. Absolutely darling. I love my little local coffee shop.
My schedule definitely looks like Katie's, and I have aspirations to have a schedule that's more similar to Cassidy. And I would say in the last year, it's been like the biggest fluctuation of me like trying to like structure my day in different ways. I remember my partner and I took a trip to Italy for our wedding anniversary. And when we came back, I was like, I'm super jet lagged and like I'm waking up naturally at 6. This is perfect. I'm finally going to become the 6 a.m. person I've always wanted to become. And somewhere along the line that crashed and burned. I did it for like 2 weeks and then it like didn't never stuck. So there is an opportunity to like creatively explore with what works best for you. And I think I've done a lot of that this year. Sometimes your habits and natural cycles just rear their ugly head and they're like, this is who you are. Good luck changing. And it has to be a really conscious, intentional choice for you to be able to do that. So all of this is to say that my day to day, as we have already mentioned, looks a little bit different. I would love to have more of a structure because I know it would be good for my business and good for me. And also, whenever I get into something that's too structured, I start to feel dead inside and I blow it all up. So it's a lot of a lot of internal like strife going on in here. I think that the biggest thing about planning your day though, and that Sarah brings up a lot, is that the amount of time that you allot for something is the amount of time that it'll take up. So really when you start freelancing, it's kind of just about, okay, I'm getting my business set up and that's like your number one goal. And then it's okay, I'm trying to find clients. So you go from doing things like creating your like website and your email and your processes to just pitching clients and connecting with clients everywhere that you can and reaching out to your network, to then starting to do that work and balancing still pitching some of those clients and building your business. I would say that my workload is probably like 70% doing stuff for clients, 30% doing stuff for my business. Sometimes that fluctuates 90-10. Sometimes that fluctuates 50-50, just depending on my workload and what I have coming in that week. But yeah, in a day to day, it can all look really different. But also, like Katie said, I'm someone who's more creative in the morning, so I probably wake up around like 8:30 these days, and I'm most creative between like 9 and 11:30, so I try and do some writing within that time. And then normally I have a workout too. Like 2 days a week I go and work out with a trainer because otherwise I won't go if I don't have someone who's there waiting for me. And then or I'll be like, this work thing's more important. I can go later. And then I just don't end up going. It just allows me to prioritize it and sneak it in during the day. And then from there, when I come back, it's a lot of admin stuff. And then any leftover writing that I just like have to get done. That's like up against a deadline is normally what that looks like for me. So, but my partner is the king of, do you want to go do this? Should we go do this instead? Should we go do that? He works, but he's the most efficient human being in the world. Like Cassidy, he's a type 3. And so he'll be like, we should just go to Costco at 12. Do you want to come with me? And I'm like, when do you work? But a lot of times I'm like, yes, I do want to go with you. And then again, this is why we can't have schedules.
I also want to say, you said that you aspired to be like me, but you're more like Katie. I am aspiring to be more like Katie. Like, I'm so grateful that I have this example in my life of what it means to take an intentionally slower summer and be okay with it. I have just always been the type of person that, like, growing up as a kid, whatever authority told me, I never questioned it. So when society was like, you work 8 to 5 with a 1 hour lunch break, and that's what you do, I was like, okay, that sounds good to me. And even in college, I was perfectly okay with the idea of getting a job where I clocked in at 8, clocked out at 5, and that was it. Like, that didn't feel suffocating to me. That felt comfortable to me. I was like, okay, that's fine. So I naturally structured my freelance business that way. And now I'm just starting to realize that, like, oh, I do want to question things and I do want to shake up my routine. And I do want to give myself permission to, like, go to a coffee shop or work half a day or do all of these other things and not feel like I have to stick with that mold. But I've been freelancing for 4 years. Like, it's been a long journey. And for most of those 4 years, I never questioned it. I was like 8 to 5. That's what we do. So,
Yeah. And I definitely don't think I'm like an 8 to 5 person. I would just like to be a morning person. It's really
yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which again, it's like, is that your fault? Because that is the gold standard. Like, You're made to believe that something's wrong with you if you're not a morning person.
I do think that I've had a couple of people push back on this, and I actually think it's because I do think that when you wake up in the morning and no one else is up doing anything, you have more time to get things done versus like staying up later when no one is up. Like it feels like I'm not getting like I might get a little bit of a better version of myself, which is not the case for everyone. But for me, I'm like, if I was a 6 a.m. person, then would 7 to 11:30 be this time period where I could be like extra productive and creative and feel really good about things versus and like not have these disruptions that kind of pop up throughout the day. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think it's like a personal aspiration for me. And I have a feeling that kids is going to be the thing that's like, all right, you're a 7 a.m. person now. And that like literally sucker punches me and was like, this is what you wanted into this routine. And then after that, I have a feeling it will stick. But I want to have the discipline to be like, Kelsey, you're going to wake up at 7 and journal and drink some coffee and then start your day instead of like, Kelsey, you're going to roll out of bed 15 minutes before your meeting starts and hope that they don't mind when you're 5 minutes late because you're still getting your coffee.
Well, I feel personally attacked by that since I was 5 minutes late getting my coffee, and also,
but I didn't text you.
yeah, yeah, I could totally see you being someone who's very like disciplined and a morning person. And also I know for myself, I've gone through phases like that too. I have 2 children, both of whom are morning people. I still wake up late. I struggle. Like I honestly am in this year in 2023 have finally made my peace with the fact that I am not and will never be a morning person, and I do not care. Like this is my personal growth that I have personally come to, because there's so much like shame and projection around like, oh, you must be lazy or whatever. And I think for a lot of people, like that first thing in the morning, like discipline and structure would be really helpful. And I have finally embraced that I am not one of those people, and I'm okay with it. And I will say too, for anyone watching this and is feeling like, oh, I'm not a morning person or oh, whatever. Shelly, who's in the group and is one of the coaches, is the most night owl person among us. Like if I didn't have kids, that's the schedule I would keep. I think she goes to bed at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. and wakes up at noon and writes in the middle of the night. Again, this is like left to my own devices. This is exactly what I would do. This is how I lived all my summers growing up. And I mean, she writes for Fenty, for Rihanna's brand. She makes like 30K a month. So you don't have to be a morning person to do your life the right way. Like figure it out, do what works for you, and do what you want.
Thanks so much for tuning into our video today. I'm Kelsey, and this is Katie and Cassidy. And together we talk about what it's like to be in the program Write Your Way to Freedom to help you determine if it's the right fit for you or not. If anything from the videos today resonated with you or made you decide like, yes, this is it, I want to sign up, it would mean the world to us if you used our referral code. For full transparency, we do get a little bit of a monetary kickback every time somebody signs up that we split between the 3 of us. And we also make a donation to World Central Kitchen, which you can find out more information on via the link in our notes. So thanks so much for tuning in, and check out the rest of our questions. We've probably answered the one that you have. Bye.